Hello and welcome to this video. In this video I will talk about the major arcana. So I have ordered the tarot cards on the table and I have put the major arcana here and the minor arcanas here. The major arcana is made up of 22 cards, these cards here, and we shall talk about each of these cards and their meaning. So let's put the minor arcana away, because we are not going to talk about this arcana in this video, and let's put them here and let's concentrate on the major arcana. So these 22 cards form the major arcana. The major arcana is considered to be the core and the foundation of the entire deck. The cards in the major arcana have an archetypal significance and they follow a storyline that describes the spiritual travel of any human being from birth to death. The first card is this card called the Fool, and it represents the innocence and the wonder that a person has at the beginning of his life. Whereas the last card, the World, describes the fulfillment and the oneness that a person attains at the end of his or her life. So in other words, the major arcana describes the passage of a person from birth to death through every stage of his existence. So it describes the story of the spiritual evolution and enlightenment and the formation of the individual. So we begin with the Fool and follow the journey of the Fool, who seeks knowledge throughout his life, whereas at the end, the World signifies that this knowledge regarding the world around, the things around, the phenomena around, is attained. So this knowledge is supposed to be attained by the Fool who begins his journey through life. So the World represents the knowledge of the world, the understanding of the world. And now let's see the description of those stages in life. Each of these concepts are concepts that we can meditate about, and they help us understand the things around and the phenomena around, and understand our own life and our own evolution. And now let's talk about each card in the major arcana. So this is the Fool. The card, as you can see, does not have any number here. The other cards are numbered in this rectangle on the upper part of the card. The card of the Fool has no number, so sometimes people put this card not as the card 0 before the card 1, sometimes they put it at the end of the deck. But the normal way of putting the cards is with the Fool at the beginning, as the card number 0. As you can see, the cards have this rectangle on the lower part where the name of the card is written. So le mât means the Fool in French. Because this is the Marseille Tarot, the cards are inscribed in French. And now let's talk about this first card. The card signifies innocence, a free spirit, and new beginnings if it is upright. If it is reversed, it means recklessness, inconsideration, or it means that somebody is taken advantage of. So this is the first card. What I forgot to tell you about is that we have another card that is different from the other cards. The card of the Death. As you can see, it has no inscription on the lower part here, because usually when this card appears, people have a certain feeling of anxiety. So in order to reduce the anxiety that a person feels whenever this card appears, there is no inscription below the picture of the Death. Nevertheless, it has the number here. And now let's go back to our cards. This is card number 1. Card number 1 is Le Battleur, the Magician. This card signifies, if upright, willpower, desire, manifestation, or creation. If the card is reversed, it means that something is out of touch, that there are illusions or trickery. Now let's continue with the second card, La Papesse. This is the High Priestess. And if this card appears, it makes reference to the unconscious, to the inner voice, to the intuition. If reversed, it means repressed feelings, a lack of center, or a lost inner voice. Card number 3. L'Impératrice, the Empress. The upright card signifies fertility, nature, or motherhood. If it is reversed, it means emptiness, dependence, or nosiness. Card number 4, L'Empereur, the Emperor. It means authority, control, fatherhood, or structure. And the meaning of the reversed card means coldness, rigidity, or tyranny. Let's continue with card number 5, le pape, the Hierophant. The upright card stands for ethics, morality, conformity, and tradition. The reversed card stands for rebellion, subversiveness, or new approaches to some problems. Card number 6 is called l'amoureux. It's the lovers card, and it means union, duality, or partnership if upright. If the card is reversed, it means lack of harmony, loss of balance, or one-sidedness. Card number 7, le chariot, the chariot, means willpower, control, or direction. If the card is reversed, it means lack of direction or lack of control or aggression. Card number 8. The Justice. It means truth, clarity, and the relation between cause and effect. If the card is reversed, it means unfairness, dishonesty, or unaccountability. Card number 9. L'ermite, the hermit. This card means inner guidance, search for the truth, or contemplation. If the card is reversed, it means it stands for the loss of your way, for isolation or loneliness. And now we have reached half of this deck, and now we will start with the second half. Card number 10, called La Roue de Fortune, which means the Wheel of Fortune, stands for the inevitable fate, for the life cycles, and for change. If the card is reversed, it means lack of control or bad luck. Card 11, La Force, the Strength. It stands for inner strength, bravery, focus, and compassion. If the card is reversed, it stands for insecurity, self-doubt, or weakness. Let's continue with card number 12, Le Pendu, which means the Hanged Man. If the card is upright, it stands for martyrdom, sacrifice, or release. If reversed, the card means fear of sacrifice or needless sacrifice. Now card number 13, the one that I was telling you about, that it has no name written on it, because the idea of death generally gives anxiety to any person who sees this card. This card is the card called Death, La Mort, and if the card is upright, it means metamorphosis, end of a cycle, new beginnings, or change. If the card is reversed, it stands for stagnation, decay, holding on something, or fear of change. So generally, if you see this card, you do not have to necessarily think about death or bad things related to death. You should think rather about a change, about new beginnings, the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. Card number 14, Temperance, the Temperance, stands for patience, for finding meaning, and for finding the middle path. If this card is reversed, it represents a lack of balance, extremes, or excess. The next card is also a card that sometimes gives anxiety to people when they see it. It is called Le Diable. It is card 15. So, the devil. And now let's see what this card stands for. If the card is upright, it means addiction, playfulness, or materialism. If the card is reversed, it stands for restoring control, for release, or freedom. Let's continue with card 16, La Maison Dieu, the Tower. If the card is upright, it means disaster, broken pride, or sudden upheaval. If the card is reversed, it stands for avoided disaster or delayed disaster, or a fear of suffering. Now let's continue with card 17, L'Étoile, the Star. This card stands for rejuvenation, for hope and faith. And if the card is reversed, it stands for insecurity, discouragement, or faithlessness. Card 18, La Lune, the Moon. If it is upright, it stands for intuition, illusions, and the unconscious. If the card is reversed, it stands for confusion, fear, or misinterpretation. Card 19, Le Soleil, the Sun. If the card is upright, it stands for positive things, for joy, for success, or for celebration. If the card is reversed, it stands for sadness, for depression, for something negative. Card 20, le jugement, the judgment. If the card is upright, it means awakening, reckoning, or reflection. If the card is reversed, it stands for doubt or lack of self-awareness. And the last card, card 21. So I told you that there are 22 cards because we also take into consideration the first card, which is numbered as card 0. So it has no number actually. So this is the last card, card 21. And this is called Le Monde, the world. And if the card is upright, it stands for harmony, completion, and fulfillment. So as I told you, this represents the end of a person's life when the person understands the real meaning of the world and has knowledge. Whereas if the card is reversed, it stands for incompletion or no closure. So these were the meanings of the major arcana. In my next video, I will also talk about the minor arcana. In this video, I will talk about the minor arcana cards and their meanings. So, I've already told you that the tarot is a deck of 78 cards, and it has the major arcana and the minor arcana. The major arcana has 22 cards, whereas the minor arcana are 56 cards. So let's separate the cards. These cards form the major arcana, which represent the life's spiritual and karmic lessons, and they stand for the path to spiritual self-awareness, and they describe the stages which people encounter in their lives while they are looking for meaning and understanding of their life. So they are lessons regarding the human life. Let's put the major arcana there. And now this is the minor arcana, which is made up of 56 cards. These cards reflect the trials and tribulations that we experience on the daily basis. They refer to the more practical aspects of life, and they describe things which have a minor influence on our lives. So the small details in our lives that influence us less. So the minor arcana cards have 16 tarot court cards, which represent 16 different personality characteristics that people have. There are also 40 numbered cards, which are organized into 4 suits. The Wands, the Swords, the Cups, and the Pentacles, and each have 10 cards. And these cards represent the various situations that we encounter in our daily life. And now let's begin with the description of the cards in the minor arcana, and let's describe the meaning of each card. Let's start with the suit of wands. The wands are associated with the element of fire. They represent passion, inspiration, and willpower. They describe the energy in the life of a person, and they bring energy to a situation. They are associated with action, with creating plans, with ambition. They can also refer to actions made with recklessness or lack of direction. So let's begin with the Ace of Wands. If the Ace of Wands is upright, it stands for creation, for willpower, inspiration, and desire. If the Ace of Wands is reversed, it stands for boredom, for lack of energy or lack of passion. Let's continue with the Two of Wands. The upright Two of Wands stands for making decisions, for leaving home, for planning. And if it is reversed, it stands for bad planning, for playing safe in a situation, and for the fear of change. The Three of Wands stands for expansion, for a rapid growth, and for looking forward. If it is reversed, it stands for delay, for frustration, and for obstacles. Now, let's continue with the Four of Wands. The upright Four of Wands stands for celebration, for home, or for community. Whereas if it is reversed, it means conflicts at home, lack of support, or transience. The Five of Wands. This card, it stands for conflict, for competition, and if it is reversed, it represents avoiding conflict and respecting differences between people. The Six of Wands. It stands for reward, for success, for public recognition, and for victory. And if it is reversed, it stands for punishment, for too much pride, and for a lack of recognition. Let's continue with the Seven of Wands. If it is upright, it means having control over a situation, being perseverant and defensive. If the Seven of Wands is reversed, it indicates that a person is overwhelmed, that the person has no confidence, and the person may give up. The Eight of Wands stands for quick decision, action, and for rapid movement. If it is reversed, it stands for panic, for something done slowly, and for waiting. The Nine of Wands. If it is upright, it means resilience, stands for the last stand. If it is reversed, it stands for exhaustion and for fatigue. And the Ten of Wands stands for accomplishment and responsibility. If it is reversed, it stands for being tired, overstressed, burnt out, unable to act. Now let's continue with the Page of Wands. If this card is upright, it stands for freedom, exploration, and excitement. If it is reversed, like this, it stands for conflict, for procrastination, and for a lack of direction. The Knight of Wands. If it is upright, it means action, adventure, and fearlessness. Whereas if it is reversed, it stands for recklessness, anger, and impulsiveness. The Queen of Wands stands for courage, determination, whereas if it is reversed, it stands for insecurity, selfishness, and jealousy. And the last card is the King of Wands. This card represents a leader, and it stands for overcoming challenges and having an overview over a situation. Whereas if this card is reversed, it stands for unachievable expectation and impulsiveness. So these were the meanings of the wands. Now let's talk about the Suit of Cups. The Suit of Cups rules over all which is associated with emotions, with intuition, creativity, and with the unconscious. They usually deal with relationships. These can be either romantic relationships or non-romantic relationships, but nevertheless an interaction between people that implies emotion. They also talk about the inner world, about the psyche of a person, and about one's imagination. The cups are associated with the element of water. So now let's talk about the meanings of these cards. Let's begin with the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups stands for intuition, for the appearance of new feelings, and for spirituality. If this card is reversed, it stands for emptiness, a lack of creativity, and a lack of emotions. The Two of Cups. If it is upright, this card stands for connection, partnership, and unity. If it is reversed, it stands for imbalance, for tension, and broken communication. The Three of Cups. If it is upright, this card talks about happiness, about friendship, about community with other people. Whereas if it is reversed, it describes gossip, isolation, or overindulgence. The Four of Cups. The Four of Cups stands for boredom, for contemplation and not for action, and for being disconnected from your own emotions. If the card is reversed, it means getting awareness, suddenly getting awareness, and for happiness. The Five of Cups. If it is upright, it means grief, self-pity, and loss. If it is reversed, it means that the person accepts a situation and decides to move on, and this person will find inner peace by doing so. Let's continue with the Six of Cups. This card stands for healing, for remembering happy events from your life, and for familiar things. If it is reversed, it stands for freedom, for independence, for moving forward, and for leaving your home. Let's continue with the Seven of Cups. This card stands for daydreaming and for searching a purpose. If the card is reversed, then it means the person has a lack of purpose in his life, and it stands for confusion and diversion, for disorientation. The Eight of Cups. This card describes a person who leaves people or events behind, for walking away from a situation, and for disillusionment. The reversed Eight of Cups stands for fear of loss and of change, and for avoidance of certain events or people. The Nine of Cups. This card describes luxury, stability, and satisfaction. If it is reversed, it stands for dissatisfaction, emotional instability, and the lack of inner happiness. And the Ten of Cups, this card, if it is upright, It shows that your dreams will come true. You will have inner happiness and fulfillment. The fulfillment of your wishes. Whereas if it is reversed, it means, on the contrary, lack of happiness, shattered dreams, disharmony in your home, or a broken family. The Page of Cups stands for a sensitive person. It can also describe a happy surprise or a person who is a dreamer. If it is reversed, it stands for disappointment, insecurity, and emotional immaturity. The Knight of Cups describes a person who is idealistic, romantic, and who follows their emotions, not their intellect. If it is reversed, it describes disappointment or a moody person. The Queen of Cups, if it is upright, describes calm, a comfortable situation, and a compassionate person. Whereas if it is reversed, it denotes lack of security, dependence, and martyrdom. And the last card is the King of Cups, which stands for control, balance, and compassion. If it is reversed, it stands for bad advice. It describes a moody person or a cold person. So these cards were the cups, and I have described you the meanings of the cups. So let's put them on away, and then we shall continue with the rest of the cards in the deck. Let's talk now about the suit of swords. Generally, the swords signify logic, intelligence, truth, communication, ambition, but also conflict. They represent the element of air. Whenever we read the cards and we have swords, we have to think about the fact that a sword is double-edged, which means that it can be used both to do something good but also to do something evil, something harmful. And that there is a very delicate balance that can change the situation towards being positive or negative. So the swords can, beside the fact that they stand for intellect, they can also stand for a lack of empathy, for a relation that is abusive and aggressive. And now let's begin with the first card in the suit of swords, the Ace of Swords. This card stands for a sharp mind, for clarity, and for success. If the card is reversed, it stands for chaos, aggressiveness, and lack of clarity. The Two of Swords. It stands for difficult choices, for lack of decision, and for stagnation. If it is reversed, like this, it means confusion and a lack of the right choice. The next card, the Three of Swords, if it is upright, it stands for grief and suffering, or for heartbreak. If this card is reversed, it stands for moving on from a situation, for forgiveness and recovery. The next card, the Four of Swords, stands for contemplation, rest and restoration. When it is reversed, it stands for being stressed, being tired, or restless. The Five of Swords. This card stands for a person who is ambitious, but extremely ambitious, so that they have no consciousness. They want to win at all costs, and they can be sneaky in the things that they do. Whereas if this card is reversed, it stands for reconciliation, forgiveness. The next card, the Six of Swords. It stands for moving on, for transition, for change, and for leaving behind a certain situation. If this card is reversed, it signifies that the person is resisting transition or moving on, and this person has an emotional baggage and unresolved emotional issues. Let's see the Seven of Swords. If the card is upright, it stands for trickery or for deception, whereas if the card is reversed, it stands for rethinking a certain strategy and for coming clean. The Eight of Swords means self-victimization, imprisonment, or entrapment. If the card is reversed, it stands for self-acceptance, for freedom, and for getting a new perspective on a situation. The Nine of Swords. It stands for trauma, for anxiety, and for lack of hope. If the card is reversed, it stands for the opposite, for hope, for reaching out. And the card number 10, if it is upright, it stands for collapse, for defeat, and for failure. If it is reversed, it means that a bad situation cannot get worse. The situation will start to become better from now on, or it can mean an inevitable end to a certain situation. The Page of Swords stands for curiosity, for mental energy, and for restlessness. If the card is reversed, it stands for manipulation and deception. The next card, the Knight of Swords, stands for action and impulsiveness, and when it is reversed like this, it stands for a lack of direction, for a situation that is, or a person who is unpredictable, and for a disregard for the consequences. The Queen of Swords stands for a clear mind and for a clear perception of things, of how things really are. If the card is reversed, it stands for a person who is cruel, bitter, or cold-hearted. And the last card is the King of Swords. And the King of Swords stands for discipline, for truth, and for intellect. If the card is reversed, it represents a person who is cruel, aggressive, manipulative, or weak. So these were the meanings of the swords. Let's talk now about the pentacles, the suit of pentacles. This suit of pentacles talks about the things that are material and worldly. Normally we shall think about the pentacles as something that talks about the financial matters. But beside the fact that the pentacles describe the wealth, the financial matters, they also describe prosperity generally, health, stability, and security. The pentacles are associated with the element of earth. When the pentacles appear in a reading, they are related to the long-term future, to the household, to the career, to the investments, to the business investments, but also to feelings of sensuality. The negative side of the pentacles stand for ambition at all cost, greed, or jealousy. And now let's talk about the meanings of each card. And let's begin with the Ace of Pentacles. If the card is upright, it stands for prosperity, for new ventures, and for new opportunities. If the card is reversed, it stands for lost opportunities, or missed chances, or for bad investments. The Two of Pentacles. It stands for being able to adapt to change, for taking the right decisions, and for knowing how to prioritize a situation. If the card is reversed, it stands for disorganization, for being overwhelmed, and for losing one's balance. The Three of Pentacles. If the card is upright, it means building, creating something, for collaborating with others in order to create something, and for teamwork. If it is reversed like this, then it stands for a lack of teamwork, disorganization, or for conflicts within a group. The Four of Pentacles means security and conservation, whereas if it is reversed, it stands for someone being greedy or possessive. The Five of Pentacles. If it is upright, it stands for poverty or insecurity. And if it is reversed, it represents the improvement of a situation, recovery, or charity. The Six of Pentacles. If it is upright, it stands for generosity, for sharing. Whereas if it is reversed, it stands for stinginess, for power and domination. The Seven of Pentacles. If it is upright, it stands for hard work and perseverance. If it is reversed, it stands for work without results, for distractions and lack of rewards. The next card, the Eight of Pentacles, stands for high standards or apprenticeship. If the card is reversed, it stands for a lack of passion, for someone who is uninspired and has no motivation. The Nine of Pentacles means luxury, reaping the fruits of your work, and getting rewards. If the card is reversed, it stands for a person who likes to spend recklessly, to live beyond his or her own means, and if this person has success, this is a false success, not a real success. And the last card is the Ten of Pentacles, which stands for inheritance or a legacy. Whereas if the Ten of Pentacles is reversed, it represents a lack of resources and stability. And now let's continue with the Page of Pentacles, which stands for ambition and diligence. Whereas if this card is reversed, like this, it stands for laziness, for lack of commitment or greediness. The Knight of Pentacles stands for hard work and responsibility and efficiency. Whereas if it is reversed, it also stands for laziness, for a work without reward, or for someone who is obsessive. The Queen of Pentacles stands for financial security and practicality. If the card is reversed, it stands for jealousy and for self-centeredness. And the last card, the King of Pentacles. If this card is upright, it stands for abundance and prosperity and security. Whereas if it is reversed, it stands for indulgence and greed. So this was the last card of Pentacles.